6:02 p.m. If y'all stand, I will sing the Pledge of Allegiance here. What is it? Let's go. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America
and
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You don't need to count this pledge.
Didn't see that. Texas flag. I would say no. You can't. I'm sure. I'm not wearing anything, you know. I'm just playing, you know.
It's not that much different. You just kind of,
Yeah.
the substitute for 3 words.
Oh, really?
Almost 3
Sure.
words. My kids had to do that in school.
Sure, I said it before, but,
It's pretty close.
I didn't think about this. Ronnie is the secretary. Larry is the assistant secretary. Is anyone taking minutes? Who's our third assistant soon?
We don't have a third.
I know, I'm just playing.
We can just take some notes, but we have it video too, so we always can take the notes off of the
Okay,
video.
so you're gonna handle it?
Yeah.
Is that fine? Thank
Yeah.
you.
And do you have something to take notes maybe? You could probably do it.
Yeah, just, this shouldn't be too many notes, just say
Yeah.
quorum of members present, please. So again, we do have a quorum, shouldn't be anything we're voting on tonight, so not a big deal. Ronnie Phillips is absent, Larry Wizenet is absent, and Nancy is absent, currently may show up for the record. Comments for the record, I do not have anything specifically. Does anyone from this board have comments for the record?
No.
None. Comments from members?
None.
None. Member, strike yes. Board discussion budget workshop. So we went over a lot of this in depth. I see a lot of these notes are similar from last month's meeting, last week's meeting, excuse me, a couple weeks ago, whatever it was. Do you want to just hit what's changed? How do you want to handle this?
Yeah, we'll start from the main budget and just go over the changes
Okay.
there. And you can actually hit that, and there's I think the only thing that changed was security and lodge.
Okay,
Security and lodge is the only number that overall changed. You actually flip a couple pages, you'll see on the salaries what changed. There's a quick little synopsis of basically where it shows the 2 negatives in security and lodge. And then I'll show you the salary change. It's 15,000 down in security and 5,800 in lodge and food and beverage. And
is this page you're looking at?
Oh, Lord.
Which page? Yeah, I got.
it's this one right here.
Oh, yeah.
It's just a short little synopsis of salary.
Yeah,
That the back of
There
it.
it is.
Back of one, yeah.
The change of 11.4 to 11.20, those are the only changes in it.
Basically, the change for security was, we actually raised it up to the market like y'all asked us to. And, we did away with 2 part-time positions because she doesn't seem to be able to ever hire the part-time, so we took those out. And then with the thing that affected the lodge was that, we had a employee that was set up as a part-time benefit eligible, so he was having to work 30 to 39 hours. And he was actually a school kid, and so he can only work like 20 to 24 hours, so that's
Lack
what
of benefits.
drove that. And then, the other thing that changed, but really not, is that we had our excess sitting in roads and bridges. And, we moved that over to admin, and we put in some extra training for admin. So,
And it was only a few $1,000.
Yeah.
You're saying excess the initiation fee?
yeah.
No, basically, we moved everything around, everything, you always end up with some number, negative or positive, we had a positive, so we put it into training and admin.
And right now that is. $4,600.
Okay.
And Dan just asked if we could put a little extra into training for maybe some board members if they wanted to. Do some training.
Understood.
And then if you go to my budget notes, like you said, hitting the highlights, we talked about security positions, I just basically put the details in there and that we raised the starting salary from 15 to 17.25, and then the corresponding changes for all the existing positions, people to raise them up accordingly. And then, as she mentioned, the overall headcount changed. So in item 1G, I updated what the actual increase in headcount is and what the change is from part-time to full-time. So overall, it's 3 extra headcount, and we transitioned 4 part-time positions to full-time positions.
4 part-time to 2 full-time, or 4 to 3, or what's it specific?
4 part-time to 4 full-time positions. So the part-time changed to full-time.
Full-time totally,
Yeah.
okay, so 4 to 4, same number.
I think that was the only change in O&M budget. I think the other thing we did, and I think did we do it before the last meeting or this meeting? We changed from 95% salary utilization down to 93
I think I had changed it to 93% before the last.
before that.
Mhm. I know we've talked about percentage and.
That's really the only changes to O&M unless anybody else has any comments. I mean, we clarified a couple other assumptions and there was no drastic changes there.
Is this a different number for, number 3, that 93 grand for the lodge? Is that accurate? Has that changed since last time? I thought it was a lot less.
Slightly, it was like 86 or 87. It wasn't a lot less. That's why I said it's like, things keep moving up and down a little bit. But that's about what it's same amount.
Okay.
And then if you want to, we can move into reserve funds. I have some comments in my notes there about the reserve funds. but
Hold on 1 second. I know Sean wasn't here last time, so any questions, anybody else that wasn't here? Bree, I think you're out of town too for the last one, but we talked a lot last time about these individual items, so if y'all want explanation on why we decided to do anything, just let me know here.
And
Yeah, we talked a lot about basically what the salary percentage is 38, what our turnover is. Part of that was a decision to increase the pay for security. So that just, it rolled down a lot of the changes, same thing with the 93% salary utilization. With all intertwined.
And do we leave all living initiation towards roads?
That's correct. That was the other decision that's in here. That's actually below, that's item number 6. And I updated those numbers just to what we have currently. And I have a breakdown in there as well, and see what we got every month and how we came up with those numbers.
We had talked about that, I guess, in the first meeting.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That was one prior to the last one. Yeah.
Correct.
Just anybody who wasn't here at the last 2 meetings.
Yeah, I just didn't know if I'm saying we're moving pretty fast, I'm moving pretty fast, and I move fast, so I just make.
Yeah.
Well, that and a lot of this was just making changes from the last meeting.
Yep.
So it's just
Small tweaks, the majority, like Rhea just said,
Yeah.
a lot of it we kind of talked about, and then Crystal and Rich have been kind of updating the numbers as we go.
And as everything, it's always a moving target, so to speak. So like you said, about the lodge, I mean, it moves a few thousand up and down.
I thought it was a lot less than that, so in my head I had 60 something, 67, so.
No,
We've never been that low.
So it's been 80, so. No worries, so, with no other questions based on these notes, Rich, take off on reserve funds, please.
So as I commented, they're basically recommending to go all, max out all the reserve funds at either 5 or 3% applicable. The Ways and Means has reviewed that. They recommend those increases. I have in your thing as well, kind of a 30,000 foot view. I'll put it up on the screen to kind of explain it. So the reserve funds overall, you have the 3 major reserve funds. Kind of broke this down of where we sit as of the end of September, actually, the September data, what was sitting in the funds. So what our balance was on 9/30, what remaining revenue we'll get for the remainder of 2025 subtotal, and then what our total revenue would be for the entire year of 2026 for a total, and then what our anticipated expenses are for our schedules for each department. Then you get your total expenses and what we anticipated in the ending balance for 2026 and what that net change would be. So from where we are now and where we end up in 2026, balancing out our revenue, the overall fund will decrease by 251,000 in our 204,000 in golf course reserve. Lake management actually increases, but we'll address that later. And those were all reviewed, and again, that's a 30,000 foot view of that. For ARF, when you dig in deep into ARF, we look at the cash flow projections. Cash flow, it continuously decreases every year until finally 2036 it fails, continues to fail. So 2036 has been the zero date. And that's maxing out 3% every year. So that's our total revenue and our expenses per the schedule. And if you ever got into the schedules, you can see like Public Works. We have every item listed by year. And then each cell is accounted for what the cost would be. And as it projects out from like 2026 to 2033, we put an inflation factor in there. So what that would cost at that point. So every cell has an inflation factor. So we get a pretty good idea of what everything's going to cost. And we basically put in a 3% inflation factor. So it matches where obviously inflation would be higher than that, which would make the cash flow projections even worse.
And they are
Yeah.
So when people talk about, this, well, Dan, whoever else says, these are gonna go away. These
Well-
absolutely, I mean, we're
So two things.
falling off the end of the cliff. But this is how we get there, right?
Two things. One, ARF is improved by the golf course reserve fund because basically you take out that greens replacement, the real big ticket items, and you put it over there. So that definitely helped. And I know Rich has a proposal on the table now for road fund, for a separate road fund that would have a separate source of funding. If that did pass, eventually you'd stop taking money out of ARF for the roads. So that would help as well. So that, I know Rich has modeled that. I mean, it doesn't make ARF perfect, but it makes it a lot closer.
We're not taking it just out of one pocket, and putting it in another.
Right, well,
You are,
I guess the ARPA drive either
Well-
kind of moved it.
But
Well-
it makes more, obviously in anything, it's gonna make more sense to have everything divided out instead of a big bucket where we
Right.
don't understand what's actually going on. The more we can kind of define, get it defined, it makes more sense 2 years in than it did when I started 3 years
I
ago.
totally agree.
I didn't like that, no one understands a big bucket and how we're gonna get it done, because then you just go, it'll work out.
Or you have one lump sum of money.
You
Yeah,
just do it at home, right?
Yeah. Yeah, if you had $3 million in the bank, you really wouldn't be worrying about.
But like, if you have to worry about, here's my food budget, and here's my car budget, and here's
Yeah.
my house budget, it makes,
Yeah.
you can make it make more sense, so it's similar in my way.
Chris, we're not robbing Peter to pay Paul on this.
Right, no,
The roads fund, the proposal is $20 per month per.
I was talking about like the golf and the ARF compared, you basically just separated it.
Yeah.
Oh, all right, I thought you were talking about roads. So, no, the problem is the same, it's just to Ray's point, the way to understand it, the ability to see it is much better.
It's getting better,
Well, I
and
know
it
you
will
argued
continue to
for
get better, like you said.
There was a big argument about separating that golf out of there.
Well-
But
And there was, and some
No,
people, I think, thought by separating it out, we had some magic to solve the problem. And so a lot of people said, some people said I voted for it because that helps the golf course, and it's like, well, no, it didn't help or hurt, it just shows them the issue better.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I appreciate that, because somebody just walking into this and with no background at all until how we got here, I kept hearing you say, these are gonna go broke. And I'm like, hey, I can't, I don't.
Like, if you wouldn't have separated out, if we wouldn't have separated these two out this year, you'd be looking at over $500,000 of, a deficit, and that just seems. And it's hard to understand where it comes from,
Yeah,
this
right.
makes
Okay.
it make more sense,
Well,
and then when you do the roads, it's gonna make even more sense.
You're not charging the members any more money. It's just-
Not yet,
No, you can't.
not yet, but.
Well, the
it's-
roads fund would,
But
yeah.
it makes,
The roads fund, we're gonna set as a totally different fund,
Yeah.
is the proposal.
yeah,
makes sense, then you get even more, I think. Yeah.
And to the point is, we need some influx of cash somewhere, and a way to make it palatable for the membership.
And I thought y'all were gonna split it out no different than the golf course, but I guess I was totally.
Everybody
decided not
drives
to do this.
And so, Rich, you had said what that road cost per, you go per mile or whatever.
Yeah, I can pull that up when we
To
get to
maintain
it.
our roads, you've gotta have X number of income coming back in.
Yeah, let's not go too.
and my opinion, roads should have never been in ARF to begin with, it was just a pocket to pull from when the O and M budget got strained.
Okay.
So it's really a better solution, hopefully people agree.
Anyway,
And then, so the golf course reserve fund is basically set up just like our. And then I had the cash flow projections there, and then this is. The golf course is basically it's wherever the greens are replaced. Right now, we have the greens replaced in 2029, because the projection was 20 years, was 2009 to 2029. But that can move down depending on everybody's judgment of when we need to replace the greens. But if we replace the greens in 2029, it fails. I have a cash flow projections. If you take the greens out, if we don't use the golf course reserve fund to fund the greens and it's an assessment, basically the golf course reserve fund almost works. I mean, there's some deficits, but it's something you could probably possibly manage. But with the greens, I mean, it's just not feasible as it stands. And like I said, that year is flexible. People go all the way out to 2034 if we're gonna do it or whenever. But the cost for the greens is up in the air, and when we do it is up in the air.
Yeah, it's just gonna break whenever we do it.
Right.
So at the end of the day, it has to be an assessment, in my opinion. Because otherwise, all of this just fails.
Yeah.
But that's for the board of 2023 or 2033. 2020.
An assessment has to be voted on by the members as well.
Correct.
It does.
Yeah.
So when we did the low bridge or whatever we call it, low water, it was voted on, but that was before I was here. So
Yeah, that was voted on a membership. There is a little caveat in the governing documents in the gray area. It says if something is a necessity, let's say the dam, something has to be done with the dam, membership doesn't have to vote with it. The greens, if the greens have to be replaced or the golf course, basically fails, is that a necessity or not? It's
emergency presidential order, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, tough position that is in our.
Yeah. Well, like I said, it's you go to the legal,
Yeah.
I've had that question on some other legal seminars, and they say that's a necessity to maintain your amenity at its current level is technically a necessity.
Yeah.
You could argue that.
That will be an argument.
Necessity, they get someone.
Yeah.
To maintain.
Anyway, yeah.
Lake management, this is more of a kind of pay as you go kind of schedule, is basically as the money accumulates, we choose to do the projects and the dredging, so everything's just scheduled out as the funds come in. These are basically all the codes we have to do, possibly we could do one in 2027, another one in 2032, another one in 2037, another one in 2042. We'd still have 6 remaining beyond 2045, which if you projected that cost out with inflation, we'd still be short by almost $9 million. So lake management is kind of, you did a funding percentage, like if you actually did a funding percentage, what is lake management?
0.41.
Yeah.
So there are caveats, so yes, we just had a company out here that pulled core samples out of 4 codes. And what they did that for was to find out what the composition of our the bottom of the lake is. If it's a higher percentage of organic, there's a product called Tri-Marine. It's a proven product. You can actually put it in drinking water and drink that water. It's approved. We could potentially have projects coming, and I'd like to think that once we get the results from them, we can get estimated costs of codes and would be a lot less than dredging costs. So we could, potentially like to slide up into 2026, some of that money that we've got for dredging because we could start to make this lake healthier. Sure.
Did we
More time.
approve the study for that?
The testing.
The testing?
Yeah, we
did.
Yeah.
And they
We already cut.
They actually did the samples, but we don't have the results.
Okay.
Yeah.
You said.
Yeah, it was like 2 months.
What's that? It's the try.
Primary.
Or.
That's all basically one word with a capital T and a capital M.
I'm glad they already are out.
And then, depending on that, we still may do dredging depending on that, but it may reduce it. And of course, these costs are just estimates anyways. Really don't know if it's gonna be $1 million or what the cost would be. It's just kind of a placeholder.
Rich, I haven't looked, and that's probably fairly close, a little bit low,
Yeah.
probably depending on inflation,
Yeah.
but it's not real.
Yeah. And I have the inflation factors in here, so as it goes through, these numbers are stagnant, but they're inflated at the bottom.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, people don't understand this, right? It's, you get both sides of it. Why do we dredged everything already to, why are we paying money towards, the lake? So it's just, as we go through this and we do updates to the community, just trying to help people understand.
Lake management is
Yeah,
a
yeah.
long-term, so it is a long-term
Understood.
project and a long-term solution.
Understood.
We ignored this lake for 50 plus, shouldn't say ignored, but didn't do anything for this lake for 50 years.
Right.
This
Here we
isn't
are.
a 1, 2, or 3 or 4 year project. This is going out 5 to 10.
I understand. I'm just saying we have a continual
Yeah. It's
education opportunity, and that's not the only one, right? But that's
Yeah.
one of them.
And all the different types of management other than just dredging, because other than tri-marine, you can do plantings to help support the banks, to help filter,
Yeah.
fill coming in. There's lots of things we can do. There are way less cost.
And that's why you see the $50,000 every year for riprap project. We're picking those targeted areas, and again, it can't be private, it's our own LKPOA property. We've done, I don't know, half dozen or more every
Yeah.
one a year for 6 years. Right now, the next one, that you see at 50,000 for next year, likely is gonna be up again where we did some this last year around 8 green, because 8 green and 8 bunker is gonna go into the lake if we aren't careful. It's getting.
Well, that's what I'll take.
Yeah, the Indian Creek comes right in there and that flowage just hits that bank and hits that bank and hits it. So we've watched and we've seen it eat away. So we've done some a little lower down the tee box area that was failing on 9 tee box. And we'll have to come back up that bank and do some projects.
So, but for this, just to put a period on that sentence, so Ways and Means has looked at it, I've looked at it. So I think we're pretty, that group was pretty comfortable with the reserve fund news, whether it's not great news, but it's accurate.
Does that have to be 51% or 2/3
To change the bylaw or to get
to add a reserve fund?
to add a reserve fund is just 50+1. Funny thing to do, to revise it though, you need 66%.
Yeah.
Our weird document.
Because the golf course reserve fund just needed 50%.
I mean, I did this presentation before, but it kind of gives a little bit of feedback on the road reserve fund. Basically, what we usually try to get 100,000 from O&M. Right now, we do 250,000 from ARP. That's a stagnant number and has been for about 10 years, so there's been no increase in that. We have used the initiation fund recently, which has helped with that, but the costs are way from 10 years ago. And I don't think I have that in there, but it's up 40 or 50% or more from 10 years ago. Just what 1 mile of overlay costs is almost $250,000. If you have to completely redo the road, because you only can overlay so many times, to mill down and do 1 mile of road is almost $400,000. So I mean, this costs are we just can't keep up with the costs. And right now it's been basically Band-Aids. We've only been overlaying, we've only been seal coating, crack sealing, because otherwise we could barely do one mile of road this year. So it's very difficult. Then to, get back to that, it would be an additional $20. That gets us about $350, a little bit more than what we use now. And this will be supplement our other shortages. Still want to use O&M, still want to use ARF, but we won't be dependent on it. We'll have a set minimum amount that we can use, and then we can supplement what we spend on the roads, still with initiation fund, still with ARF, and still with O&M. Because it would cost, I mean, we have 22 miles of road, I mean, it costs like $9 million to do the roads if we want to do the roads.
So,
It's one of those things, again, if you look at it in the short, trying to do a 5-year plan, it gets you no.
Can't do it, yeah.
all right, so we take this offline, but I thought the agreement was we'd stop using it once this was in place.
We wouldn't have to use 250 every year, but we still,
Right.
it wouldn't be restricted that we couldn't use it. We cannot use ARF if we wish, but it doesn't restrict us from using it.
Are we restricted to use ARF on the golf course fund? Are we restricted from using ARF on on the golf course?
Correct.
We are?
Yes.
Because we separated it from ARF?
Correct.
But this would be set up differently?
It's just an additional dedicated road reserve fund because we really shouldn't be using the money that's in ARF, but it's always been used there. O&M continually gets depleted. I mean, we've gone years where we spent $25,000 on O&M on road because we, don't have any money left in the budget to do it.
So,
Yeah.
we take it offline, but my opinion, and Bessie,
Yeah.
longtime board members, that we should write the proposal that our will not be used going forward.
Okay. The ways and means, when we were there, and bylaws, that was not the discussion and not the agreement.
So the ways and means meeting that I wasn't there.
Yeah.
Okay.
what happened?
We should talk to Leslie about it, but we also discussed it with Sean at bylaws.
Yeah. So we can talk about it. I'll talk to Leslie too.
Okay.
How's the, are we gonna vote on how this is, when does, excuse me, I know we are, when does this come up on how we're gonna propose this to the membership?
We're gonna just, the wording is Monday.
Okay. that's it.
So just to kind of make it not be confusing, I mean, we are using the initiation fee already, so
Yeah.
it's kind of like, we kind of already,
Eh,
and people are gonna say, well,
We're deciding in December.
no, I
Yeah,
know,
it is.
but I can see that
And-
coming up as a question,
Yeah.
because people are gonna be, oh, we already got that money, I got some
Well,
more,
yeah,
and so
yeah.
how does that, you know?
If you want to do just a road reserve fund, it would be $40 or $50 would be the minimum that we would need to make the road reserve. fund.
Without the initiation fee being
Right.
as
Without
part
it-
of the equation.
40,
Initially-
40, probably $50 a month minimum would be
Well,
what
it
the
is,
fund.
we got all of the initiation fee.
But that's not his math, when he actually maths it out on what we need for a year,
Yeah.
because we're not
I
gonna.
can't, I don't know what it's gonna be
Yeah.
until it gets voted on.
But you're counting on it in this equation, asking for $20 a
No,
month.
He's not, that's
So-
what I'm saying.
No.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying, the $20 gets us basically, right now, we use 100,000 and 250, so we're trying to do 350 a year. If I do the $20, and this is a little messed up now for this 21, but it's basically $350,000 a year at $20 a year. And that gets to the minimum of what we're doing right now. If we really want to make any progress, we need something in addition to the 20. So if you want to do basically double that, it would have to be at least 40. And if you're counting initiation fees, it has to be like $50.
Wow.
I mean, that's what it would cost. It would cost, if you want to do a dedicated fund to do the roads, it would probably be $50 a month.
We got to think about it, yeah, this got passed.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't just make it be mine.
It's
We can
one,
see.
it's one step closer to trying to get everything to work. I mean, if you want to do restricted, you have to use the fund, and that's the only thing you use for roads, it would have to be $50.
Yeah, I just don't think that's gonna.
No, you should definitely start at the 20 and
Yeah.
not hit ever.
Yeah.
And this is.
And again, it's just, as you restrict these buckets,
Plus the 5%.
it makes it more restrictive, and you need to have some flexibility.
Yeah.
So where does that put the condition of the roads if you do that? No.
If
That's,
you do that, it basically takes like a 22-year or probably more than 25-year span of trying to get it done in half. You know, you probably do the roads in 12, 13 years. Could use all those money.
What about that puddle right as we leave the gate right there in front of Millie's house? What are we doing about that one?
Nothing today.
I do it every day. I'm like, I wanna go fill it in myself. Yeah.
Scott, what's the schedule on the potholes?
I'm kidding, whatever.
No, seriously.
It's the one everybody's hitting now when you drive out of the gate.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's getting bigger.
We actually have the road crews out here, we're having them do the paving at part 3 and the driving range first, but supposedly when they're done with doing the actual road work, we'll get to the patch.
Did you have another question? Okay, let's get off the road fund. Please. Any other funds non-related to roads we want to talk about tonight? Scott's gonna have to hire 3 apprentices to get all this road work done.
But probably 4.
Anything else you want to mention, Rich, on reserve funds?
And no, there's really nothing much new. The only point I wanted to make, we can go over the park, but that's when we go over, so it's basically the same as what we go over in the meetings. But I can pull that up and kind of just, I have a simpler 2026 version.
My only question that I had was this dam repairs, the low flow that we still have for Q1 2026. I thought we got everything done. I know we don't
I
have
haven't got-
backside done.
I haven't gotten the final invoice from DBA yet. I
Okay,
just
so that's
left
why
that
that's
in
just sitting there,
Yeah.
that 34. And then have we approved, where are we at with the 1-lane bridge repairs? I know you got like a rough estimate or an engineering.
We
something.
have a rough estimate, and that'll be the next RFP we send out, where we just about have the RFP ready for the trail on the 52 acres. Once we get that one out, we'll finalize the one for the bridge.
Yeah.
And get that out, but we
Yeah.
need to get the RFP out for it. We have a few bids to work off of, but we need to get that out.
I know, I'd like to go on record that I think that walking trail should be put on hold until we we could spend the money better. That's just my opinion. Something else to put out there to maintain. But.
Yeah.
Moving on.
We could do a Westgate.
That's a lot of money, whatever, there's other things that can be done.
Oh, it is a lot, it is a lot.
There's no reason to put that walking trail there.
And then,
No reason at all.
and then,
You can walk now.
well, there's other walking
already
trails.
done.
I know, we already, I'm just saying, I wanna go for that. and do it.
One other thing is contractors were supposed to be out to try to get some bidding in for the front entrance. It rained today, so they didn't show up. But we're trying to get the final bids for the front entrance, and that's just a placeholder too. We saw with pickleball courts and everything else, how the price goes up, so we don't know, really, I don't know what the number is gonna be for the front entrance. And once we get that number in, then we'll have to reevaluate it.
Those were my 2 question marks on this. Anyone else have question marks on CARF?
The only other one I wanted to make at the bottom, and I have it in red, is the CDRF actually got an influx of $86,000. Crystal and I kind of knew it was there, but after a 2024 audit, they basically finalized the audit and money we were holding in O&M after the lot sales for whatever reason. I don't know why it had to clear, I forget. But we now have that money officially back in CDRF, so we have another $86,000 influx, and that can only be used on a new project.
On a what project?
A new capital project, can't be used for an existing one. So that's actually good news.
But can you scroll back down? So, approved project pickleball 175. And then you have blank against 86 on the bottom one.
Yeah, because I have 86 on top, for the project's 175, total 261. You do the math and it subtracts, and we got 86,000. Because the 175 is already accounted for, so remaining balance to use is 86,000.
Yeah.
No, I understand. It just looks like I just think that line should just. that whole
Okay,
line should go
yeah.
away. 'Cause it looks like they're aiming it towards something.
Okay,
So Road 71, I think, just goes away. It's still on top of 86,000.
that's fine. Yeah, it's just like duplicated an extra time.
So that, big ticket items that we got sitting down there, what is the enforcement rate? Is it something that has to get done?
At some point, the surface is all cracked, there's cracking underneath, it's holding water. The top surface of the slab, the aesthetic part needs to be all scraped off and the crack sealed, and the actual slab, and then another surface put on top.
So help me, I'll follow up with that. I know it needs redone, but like, I wasn't on the board when that got done, and from what I understand, the current board wanted that to be completely flat so they could play pickleball with 0. Are we gonna, when we do this floor, I assume we're raising one end, yeah.
Well, we can try to raise it, we can definitely float it and try to make it, to get a little bit of drainage.
I would assume that was in 80 grand, again, since he's
That-
asking. I'll follow
That's
up.
in, when you talk about, I mean, theoretically, it should have been the semi-flat and then all 3 corners kind of sloped out for drain, and it wasn't. For pickleball, they wanted to possibly use it at the point. They were worried about dancing. They wanted it as level
You
as
could put a
possible. for dance.
.0001 grade on
Yeah.
it, thinking it would drain. And
Yeah.
it didn't.
You can play pickleball.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be.
I would, again, I'm not a
Yeah.
pickleball but I would assume no more.
They
pickleball
also
in the
didn't,
pavilion. We're gonna build
put any,
courts.
the engineer had control joints on the drawings, and the control joints weren't put in to limit the cracking, so there was a couple.
Why did we not do
They
that?
wanted it as flat and smooth as possible.
Who is they?
The board,
Current
the
board?
committee, and the contractor.
Jesus.
I guess
So it was pretty much a unanimous.
Instead of no insurance or warranty or.
Well, for one.
Well, there was, but they didn't.
The contractor told them they don't need to do this, and then they said, yeah, we do, we gotta play pickleball and dance on this thing. You know how little grade you can get to get water.
Yeah, well, it's like a metal roof, you just need
Yeah.
to slide, yeah.
Yeah, I heard that through the grapevine and thought that was crazy.
Yeah.
But anyway, I would assume we're not gonna use that for pickleball, and if
No,
I'm on the board, I will vote.
well, not only that, there's like no, you never can play there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Then again, those other 2 that are down at the bottom, the playground stuff, I know that that's gotta happen at some given point in time, but that's $225,000.
The playground, and those are placeholders, and they're also dependent on how many donations we get, they're trying to get donations.
Yeah,
But,
understood.
I think that's all I have, unless, do you have anything else to add?
Nope.
Was everything else is fairly repetitive in what we covered?
No more budget discussions, any additional business outside of budget? None from myself either. Comments from members?
I just want to say thank you for your hard work on the budget. Thank you for taking into consideration the market analysis and everything.
Here, here.
Scott, any comment from our second member?
Well, I'm gonna come at you next year for public works increase. That's all I got.
Being no further comments, I would take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.